Lin Qiaoqiao, who passed away at a young age, was reborn after his death and became a vicious and fat wife of a veteran villain in a popular era novel. At the beginning, the original owner sold the mess of her villainous siblings, causing her to be caught by the villains on the spot. How should we break this? Watching the fierce rough man gradually approaching, Lin Qiao trembled. She wouldn't have been locked in a small black room and her legs broken, would she? Don't want to die young again, Lin Qiaoqiao decided to stay away from crazy criticism and the villain's divorce. I didn't expect the divorce to be successful, but I found out that these crazy rough guys are a spoiled wife and a madman. Lin Qiaoqiao, who originally wanted to be beautiful, said. It's too fragrant, it's a bit painful. In his past life, Qin Fang was designed and assassinated, causing his younger brothers and sisters to go crazy one by one, becoming a permanent pain in his heart. To live a lifetime, he must guard his loved ones well and make those who hurt them pay the price, including his selfish wife. The ultimate wife, who had never thought of her past life, had changed in this life. Not only did she behave unexpectedly, but he could even hear her thoughts and turn the iron-hearted man into a wife-protecting demon. Lin Qiaoqiao blocked the door and said, "Did you install a bug on me?" Qin Fang said, "I just happen to know that you said in your heart that you don't want to leave. How many golden fingers do you have? Why don't I have them?" Qin Fang, "I am your golden finger, in a bustling world, as long as you want it, I will give it to you." Keywords of the novel. Rebirth era. After reading The Heart of a Rough Man, he dotes on me day by day without a pop-up window. Rebirth era. After reading The Heart of a Rough Man, he dotes on me day by day. Download the complete text. Rebirth era. After reading The Heart of a Rough Man, he dotes on me day by day. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Beating Human Traffickers at the Beginning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 2. Pretending to be with him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Pretending to be with him. Seeing his younger sister start crying again, Qin Fang can only pat her buttocks to soothe her crying when she was a child. That's how he comforted her. He remembers leaving home for more than 8 months this time, and his younger sister is only 3 years old. It's normal not to know him. As a result, the more I took the photos, the more I cried, and my feet scrambled to get down. You give me back the child. Lin Qiaoqiao saw the man's hand patting the little girl's buttocks, and in her eyes, it was clearly a spanking of the child. What can she tolerate? She doesn't care about the identity of the original owner. Since these 2 milk dolls are with the original owner, rounding them up is her child. With such thoughts in mind, she rushed forward and once again wanted to retrieve the child. As a result, the man grabbed her neck and she decisively stepped on the man's right foot. Go to hell. Damn human trafficker. I'm going to stomp on you. Qin Fang didn't expect the woman to be so hurt. In a moment of pain, the child in his arms was carried away by the woman. What was that sound just now? How could there be other women talking? Don't cry, be good. Lin Qiaoqiao held the child in his arms. With such a lovely child, this person could also take action. Damn human traffickers. I decisively held the child and took several steps back, maintaining a distance of 4 or 5 meters from the man. I was thinking about how to lead the children to escape, as there were pursuers in front and obstacles in the way. My body just fused and I'm not flexible at all. Can I say I'm going to fall here today? The clothes they were wearing were obviously from the 1970s and 1980s, even the clothes on the original owner. She had traveled back several decades. No wonder the ground is a dirt road, not a familiar asphalt road. There probably aren't many cars passing through such a place. Sister-in-law, big brother, please put down your sister. She was scared and just stood for a while. Qin Ling couldn't help but make a sound as they rushed around. The big brother whom I haven't seen for a long time looks so fierce, and my sister.in.law has become different. She had never been so protective of his sister before, which made him feel a little touched. However, when he remembered what his sister.in.law had done before, that little touch was taken back. Do you want to tell big brother about what happened just now? The consequences should be very serious. If you lose your sister.in.law, they will have no shelter, as if they are like everyone else. At least being with my sister.in.law is not enough to starve to death. This woman is lazy and greedy. When she first entered the house, she was as thin as a hemp stick. In less than 3 months, she had become a big fat man. My weight skyrocketed from 80 pounds to 180 pounds, which was still measured on a land scale when weighing food. This weight is unique to the whole village, and it can be said that there are not many women in the surrounding 10 miles or 8 villages who are so fat. Recalling what the little boy said earlier, big brother and sister.in.law. The little girl in her arms slowly stopped crying, at least she didn't move around like she did just now. Qin Fong didn't snatch the child anymore when he saw his sister stop crying. He thought to himself, how has this woman changed? Isn't it the human trafficker she brought to sell the child? Pretending not to know him, it's a bit interesting to see how she still pretends. What's going on with that sound? He definitely didn't hear it wrong, he did hear the sound of speaking. A person running from afar was holding a stick in his hand. There is a thin and tall man with black spots on his mouth, and this person should be what little sister called a human trafficker. Qin Fong was angry. In his previous life, he couldn't find this person and let him escape. The first reaction of a tall and thin person when they see someone is to turn around and run away. I don't know where to escape, so I ran back all at once. Just ran to a distance of 7 or 8 meters, was kicked fiercely on the waist, fell to the ground in an instant, knocked off 2 front teeth, and blood flowed. Qin Fong caught the despicable human trafficker and sat directly on his back, smashing his head with his fist, discovering the anger of his previous life. What else does Lin Qiaoqiao not understand when he sees this scene? This man is obviously with himself, just why is he so cold as if he has a grudge? Sister-in-law. Qin Chu tightly hugged the woman's leg, I'm afraid. I won't come to the river again. Sister-in-law. Lin Qiaoqiao repeated, her voice hoarse. The man's pinching just now made her throat ache. Well, Chu, never come to the river again. Uncle is a bad person. She said as she opened her mouth and began to cry, but no tears came out because she had been crying for too long. Chu, don't cry. Qin Ling could only step forward and hug his sister. Everything is over, big brother is here. We are saved and won't be abducted. Lin Qiaoqiao was a bit confused at the moment, watching the man drag the person back by the collar like a dead dog. The face was visibly bruised, swollen, and blurred, indicating that it had been severely beaten. Behind me came the sound of police sirens, and I saw a police car slowly approaching. It was a very old-fashioned police car like in TV dramas. The car quickly approached them and a few people got off the car and ran straight towards them. At this moment, Lin Qiaoqiao was convinced that they had indeed been saved. But the man's gaze was still so fierce, and he even walked over. Lin Qiaoqiao, I asked you to take care of the children at home. Is that how you take care of the children? Listen to me, I don't know what's going on. Lin Qiaoqiao wanted to explain but didn't know how to explain. The key is who this person is. Unfortunately, the original owner's name is exactly the same as hers, which saves us from adapting. Qin Fong suppressed his emotions, otherwise he wouldn't have done anything. Now is not the time to turn his back, he needs to investigate everything thoroughly, so he is just questioning loudly. Otherwise, just like the man just now. Thinking about everything my younger brother and sister have suffered, it's not an exaggeration to kill this person several times. In her previous life, this woman sold her younger brother and sister, but the human traffickers took her away as well. Later, he got sick halfway and left the person at the train station. When he found it, he even pretended to be pitiful, saying that he was caught by this person while washing clothes by the river. The two children were nowhere to be found, looking like they were about to die. I was moved in my heart and believed her words, because my younger brother and sister lost their job in the army and he couldn't continue. He directly chose to retire and return to his hometown to work. Later, when the conditions for reform and opening up improved, he collaborated with others to do business, traveling far and wide, even deep in the mountains and forests. I haven't stopped searching for my younger brother and sister. It wasn't until 5 years later that I finally found my younger brother and used the clues in his mouth to find my younger sister. They are no longer the same siblings as before. My younger brother was beaten to a disability and begged on the street. His legs couldn't recover and he would be in a wheelchair for life. My younger sister was sold into a household as a child bride, and the older man tormented her crazy. It took several years of rehabilitation treatment, but it was just getting my sister to know them, and I couldn't take care of myself. A few years later, Lin Qiaoqiao was the one who found out in his younger brother's mouth that all of this was happening. He caught the woman and locked her in the basement of the villa. In fact, if his younger brother and sister were abducted, he also had a responsibility. If he had chosen to switch careers and retire, perhaps nothing would have happened. When torturing Lin Qiaoqiao, he was also torturing himself, which can be said to be mutual torture. Captain Lu walked over and patted Qin Fang's shoulder. "Brother, you're too heavy on me to explain. Qin Fang, they are not beginners. There are countless women and children who have been sold by them. You go back and have a good trial, you cannot let them go." Captain Lu was frightened by the man's gaze. Seeing the blood on his fist, he couldn't help but avoid it. "I have already caught this person, so I'll take them back first. Let's gather and have tea when we have time." "Okay, let's see you later," Qin Fang's formulaic answer. The aura of the superior made those police officers dare not underestimate him. At this moment, Lin Qiaoqiao's IQ was online and he blocked the police's way. "I'll go back with you. Brother and sister, don't be joking." Captain Lu glanced left and right. "The injury on your head is not light. Hurry up and go to the clinic to get it bandaged. That's all for today. Be careful when taking your child out in the future." Lin Qiaoqiao still didn't give way. "What did you call me? Brother and sister? You probably lost your head, right? I won't tell you more, there's still something to do later." Captain Lu felt a chill in his back just now, and if he didn't leave, it felt like something big was happening. So he gently pushed the person aside, followed the brothers onto the car, and without saying a word, drove away, leaving only the dust flying in place. There are not many top-notch items in the book, and the male and female protagonists belong to the kind of love that grows over time. If you like them, add them to the bookshelf for collection. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Hearing the Sound Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Hearing the Sound Again. Lin Qiaoqiao wanted to stop the car's shoulder when the man grabbed her tightly, and the force made her speechless in pain. "Lin Qiaoqiao. Stop making trouble," Qin Fang said. Lin Qiaoqiao felt a surge of blood, and with a crooked neck, he fainted, as if he had been caught by his hand in the final moment. "This man is so scary." Qin Fang heard the girl's voice again, which was different from Lin Qiaoqiao's voice. "There are no other people around here, so who is the person speaking? Or maybe it's what she said, but the person has already passed out. It's unbelievable, I don't know what happened, but he caught the person and it must be said that it was quite heavy." "Brother, can we go home now?" Qin Ling asked. Qin Fang looked at his younger brother's intact legs and his younger sister's innocent appearance, and thought to himself, fortunately, he didn't come late, and finally stopped all of this. Normally, Lin Qiaoqiao should not have done such a thing, so he must figure out who is behind the scenes and uncover that person. If Lin Qiaoqiao continues to participate, then send her to the place she should go. I don't know how she started eating so fat, so I frowned and said to my younger brother, "Can you take your sister back?" Qinling obediently said, "Okay, big brother, don't be angry with your sister. In law. We're here to play, and those two people suddenly appear and want to catch us. This matter has nothing to do with your sister. In law. She's fighting hard with those people to protect us." Qin Fang's relaxed brow furrowed again. "Don't speak for her, I know everything she has done. A lazy woman has caused you all the trouble in the past 2 years. Don't worry, I won't let Chu or you suffer any more harm. Big brother, we're really okay." Qin Ling felt that his big brother had changed a lot. Although his face was still the same, his aura felt different. The cold feeling left him at a loss. "Alright, take your sister home first." Qin Fang picked up the person and strode forward without any difficulty. He had to be cautious when he heard something out of thin air just now. What secret is hidden in Lin Qiaoqiao's body? By making such an effort to persuade oneself, one will no longer have such wild thoughts. When I reached the small path, I met the villagers and greeted them. The villagers knew that such a big thing had happened, so they quickly helped to take care of the children. Some of them pushed the cart over and finally freed their hands. The enthusiastic villagers escorted them all the way home, and 3 or 4 of them, who were quite old, did not leave, but came forward to give them one by one instructions. "Grandma Wang, Qin Fang, take good care of your daughter. In law and come back often to see her. Our 2 children also need someone to take good care of them. Uncle Qin, this wife and child can only live a good life by heeding the Kong." Neighbor Zhang said, "Your parents left early, leaving these 2 struggling children behind. You big brother, you should take it seriously." Qin Fang didn't say much and nodded in agreement one by one. It was indeed because he didn't consider it carefully. When his parents passed away together in a mudslide, he thought that Lin Qiaoqiao would risk his life to marry in, and that being considerate would also be good to his younger siblings. So he agreed to the marriage and thought of working in the military for a few years, getting promoted and earning more money, and then returning to live with her for the rest of his life. The villagers didn't dare to say much either. Lin Qiaoqiao is a famous lazy daughter. In law in the village, and the house was clean when she got married. It only took a few months to make it messy. However, it's not easy to be alone with 2 children, and everyone sympathizes and doesn't say anything too unpleasant. It's just a private discussion. Everyone has left. Qinling led his sister back to their house, not the main room, but the miscellaneous room in the yard. In summer, they can only sleep here. They can only go back to the main room to sleep when the weather gets cold. The woman prevents them from stealing food, so she tries not to let them in. 2 meals a day are either porridge or pancakes. Occasionally, if you have a meal of rice, it will definitely be leftover. Although my older brother had sent so much money and all kinds of tickets back, their siblings lived no different from the children in the village, even more humble than them. Thinking of this, the resentment in his heart felt like he wanted to blurt it out again. Seeing his brother's gloomy face, he swallowed it back. Today, the way his brother pinched people was too scary. If I really say those words, what if my brother accidentally chokes that woman to death? My body trembled at the thought of this, so I quickly found clean clothes for my sister to change into. They only had a few sets of clothes to change and wash. The pants have holes on them all day long, and I probably won't be able to wear them next summer. The more I think about it, the more heartbroken it becomes. Second brother, is that the big brother? Qin Chu asked softly, looking out at the familiar courtyard outside the window, giving her a sense of security again. It's our big brother, you don't have to be afraid of him. His sister Law really needs to be cleaned up. Let's not worry too much, and we can't talk to him about some things. If sister Law is gone, we won't have anyone to care about it. Qin Ling comforted his sister in a soft voice. Seeing that she had a slight injury on her face, he quickly rubbed her hand. "Don't be afraid, those bad people have been arrested by the police, uncle." Chu is not afraid, even if his second brother is in Chu, he is not afraid. Chu smiled happily, his beautiful little face even more eye-catching, and one can imagine what kind of appearance he had when he grew up. Inside, Qin Fong looked at the pitch-black ground. It must have been a year since it was cleaned, and the Kong was in a mess. There were sugar cookies on top of the cabinet. It's moldy on top, it would be a great thing if outsiders saw it. This scene is my second time seeing it, and it feels like something happened yesterday. When she entered the room, she threw the person directly onto the Kong, lifeless and unsure of how the flesh grew. Opening the cabinet door, I saw a mess of clothes inside, and I could vaguely smell a foul smell. How can this woman lead her life like this? In his previous life, he constantly carried out tasks outside in order to provide a better life for his younger siblings, in order to be promoted to higher positions and receive more subsidies. As a result, she neglected and didn't expect her life to be like this. Later, after the child was abducted, it took several days to clean up the house. So does he have to tidy up again? My heart is a bit congested, what harm has he done? When I arrived at the outer room, I saw a lock on top of the cabinet. There wasn't even an adult at home, so I had a lock on it. Who is this to prevent? It's not just about preventing 2 children. Thinking about him sending so much money and tickets every month, he probably got into the woman's belly. Otherwise, how could he grow so fat? When I went out, I found a stone and smashed the lock. I counted the contents inside, including rice, corn flour, and some flour. There was a handful of hanging noodles in the corner. There is still a small half can of lard left, and when I pick it up and smell it, there is no strange smell. I only take it out after confirming that it can be eaten. The stove is also dirty and unsightly, so we can only brush the pot clean first and cook the noodles before proceeding. Lin Qiaoqiao woke up slowly on her side, looked up to see the wooden beams, looked left and right to see that the wall was covered with newspaper, and she lay on the Kong, with the wound on her head not treated and her hand still bleeding when touched. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. She wears books. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. She wears books. Lin Qiaoqiao felt a sharp pain in his head, and there were many more memories in his mind. She turned out to be wearing a book, dressed as Lin Qiaoqiao, the malicious and fat wife of the villain Qin Fong in the book. In the hard years, I grow to be the richest man. She is the old daughter of the Lin family, with 3 older brothers on top. From childhood to adulthood, it can be said that she has been pampered and grown up. It should be noted that in this era, there are more sons than daughters. She is reckless at home, and for the 3 daughters-in-law of the Lin family, she is definitely a top-notch sister-in-law. Even their son has to stand aside. In this era, filial piety is emphasized. If anyone dares to bully their mother-in-law, then this daughter-in-law will not be good. Because my father-in-law is the village chief, even their daughter-in-law dare not resist. The original owner wanted to go shopping in the town back then, and immediately fell in love with Qin Fong, who was going home to visit his family. He looked really beautiful in his military uniform, and the young girl was in a state of nostalgia, so she had someone in her heart. Later on, it was heard that the Qin family's parents were going to find Qin Fong a wife, so they kept pestering and fighting. In the end, they fainted in front of Qin Fong, ruining each other's reputation and forcing them to turn the tide. Later, both of the family's parents died in a mudslide, and Qin Fong went home from mourning. At that time, the situation was that if he got married, he had to take care of his 2 children. At that time, Qinling was only 6 years old and could barely take care of themselves. Qin Chu is just a weaned child. If it weren't for the fact that all 3 of the original owner's sister-in-law had given birth, she wouldn't know how to take care of this child under the influence of her parents. Qin Fong asked her if she was willing to marry, and the original owner agreed to marry in order to get this man. So it only took a few days from the funeral to getting married. On the day of their marriage, Qin Fang received a telegram from the military and had to leave early, so they did not have a stable. Leaving the original owner alone in the new house also left a spark of resentment. Qin Fang is not stingy with sending money to the original owner on a monthly basis, and occasionally even sends a letter instructing her to take good care of her younger siblings. If the plot develops like this, in a few more years, when Qin Fang returns from his military career, the original owner can be with him. The so-called sister-in-law is like a mother. As long as she takes good care of her two children, she will not be treated too badly in the future. After all, people in this era value emotions. Later on, it can only be said that this person was foolish and miserable, and was deceived by a male protagonist named Su Baihan, who is also from this book, not to mention his feelings, but also cheated out of money. I borrowed nearly 1,000 yuan from a promissory note on the surface, but I haven't paid it back yet. It's a scumbag who eats soft food. And this person is Qin Fang's comrade in arms, who was discharged from the military due to injury. Their relationship is obviously extraordinary, with a bond of growing up together and also a bond of serving in the military together. In the past 2 years, Qin Fang has not been at home, and this person has been helping to handle many things. So the original owner was seduced by someone. After the incident of trafficking was exposed, the original owner lived in torment for the latter half of his life. It can be said that he could not survive, could not seek death, and continued to criticize the villains. Qin Fang is equally cruel to himself every time he harms the original owner after learning about the fate of that pair of children. Lin Qiaoqiao has no sympathy for the original owner at all. It is because of her fault that both children's lives were ruined. Including Qin Fang's life, he lived completely in hatred without any happiness. It can be said that his life is quite tragic. If someone else treated her like this, they might have done even more ruthless than Qin Fang. As the male protagonist, Su Baihan and Qin Fang have always been brothers and sisters. In the years when their child was lost, they were still working together. Why did they let the original protagonist kidnap and sell the child? Is there a big question mark here? Although she has read books, all she has learned is about the experiences of the original owner. What Su Baihan did was to subdue the original owner and make him his slave, and in fact, he did the same. The original owner's body was not fat at all, but Su Baihan gave her a pill and gradually gained weight over time. The era in the book is 1978, which is the era of grain coupons. This era was characterized by material scarcity and a shortage of food and clothing. If you want to go out to visit relatives and work, you still need a letter of introduction, otherwise you won't be able to solve the problem of clothing, food, housing, and transportation, which is very backward. I heard some noise outside and knew that Qin Fang must be outside. Looking around, I realized that the calm was so messy. There was a layer of oil stains on the quilt, which probably hasn't been washed in years, and there were still human shadows on it. The pillow also has a foul smell. I don't know how the original owner did it. How could it be so messy? There is also a pitch-black area on the ground, which looks dirty. This house was built only a few years ago when it was destroyed by its original owner. It's really unbearable. The memory of the original owner knows that she is messy, but it still has a great impact. I lowered my head and sniffed the clothes on my body, but fortunately the smell was a bit off. My stomach is growling with hunger, but no matter what, I still have to eat first. Since I didn't strangle her at the time, as long as I don't provoke him, there shouldn't be anything wrong. Moreover, in that situation at the time, perhaps he was too anxious about those two children, so he could only comfort himself in this way. I saw a pair of slippers next to the cabinet, and I don't know how long I've been wearing them. Anyway, they don't look very clean, but there's nothing I can do. I can only make do with them. The smell of noodles was emanating from the air, and I cautiously went to the outer room to see Qin Fang serving noodles. There are only 3 bowls on the stove, isn't it that the 4 people in the family don't have her share? Qin Fang saw someone wake up and noticed that her expression should be okay. He thought he couldn't let anyone die. Put down the spoon in your hand, turn around and go to the corner of the wall, find the luggage bag you brought back, take out a bottle of medicine from inside, and casually place it on the stove. Go inside and wipe it yourself. Thank you. Lin Qiaoqiao was a bit overjoyed, thinking he would care about life and death. Qin Fang took out another bowl from the cupboard and said, "Are you treating them so harshly when I'm not at home? Are you still locking the cabinet to prevent them from stealing food?" Lin Qiaoqiao didn't know what to say. The original owner was just a big idiot, playing a good card poorly. The man gave more, sending back 50 yuan a month without hesitation, and sending various tickets every 3 months. These things are enough to support a large family of 10. The original owner only had 2 children to live with. In the rural areas of the 1970s, it was quite a happy day. Because the original owner didn't have to go down to the ground to have someone to support him, and he lived by looking at people's faces. Of course, the premise is that the money has not been lent out, so it can only be said that the original owner is a romantic brain, and for that little bit of love, anything can be done at this moment. Qinling entered the house and said, "Big brother, sister.in.law locked the cabinet door because she was worried that others might steal things." For a while, things kept getting lost in the village. Lin Qiaoqiao knew it wasn't like this, but with the child's proof, this matter can be considered a thing of the past. Qin Fang felt that his younger brother's temperament, whether in his previous or present life, was too soft. Thinking that they had never eaten, go set the table. Eat. Qinling quickly went to get the table happily, placed it on the ground, and then went into the next room to get 4 benches. Arrange everything according to their position and size. Lin Qiaoqiao's stomach was already hungry, and that bowl of white noodles was filled with some lard, not even soy sauce. It looked like Baisila had no appetite. But what does it matter? Just eat it. As for the wound on the head, if you have eaten enough, go back to the house and apply medicine. I'm afraid you'll come out later and have no food left. This is also a problem in orphanages. What you eat in your stomach is food, otherwise it's the food in someone else's stomach. Without their greeting, I found a seat to sit down and specifically sat next to the little girl, with my younger brother and Qin Fang across from her. As long as you don't look up, you won't be able to see. Each person has a bowl of noodles. Everyone didn't say anything, it was unusually peaceful, and those who didn't know thought there weren't many people in the room. A bowl of noodles is not enough to fill the gaps between teeth, there is no more noodles left in the pot, only a little noodle soup. Lin Qiaoqiao decisively filled a bowl of noodle soup to drink, and only then did he feel his stomach was full. Qin Fang waited for the 2 children to have enough to eat before saying to his younger brother, "Take your sister to the room to rest, and no matter what happens, don't come out. Remember." Qinling was taken aback for a moment, then nodded obediently. Such a scene should not have been seen by his younger sister. He obediently led his sister back into the room and also closed the door. When my brother comes back, they can sleep in the nearby room. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Doubts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Doubts. The 2 children returned to the house, leaving only them. For a moment, no one spoke, and the atmosphere froze. After a while, Lin Qiaoqiao put away the dishes and then looked at him like that. "Speak up. What do you want to tell me?" Qin Fang spoke up and said, "What exactly happened today? Do you know those people? What I didn't know in my previous life must be asked clearly in this life." Lin Qiaoqiao dared not agree recklessly and pondered for a moment. "I don't remember what happened at that time, otherwise I wouldn't have not even recognized you. After discovering that the child was tied up, I also tried my best to save them. Can you guess the situation at that time? Do I look like I'm pretending? It's like not saying anything. Qin Fang didn't want to let Lin Qiaoqiao go like this, so he said again, "When I came back, I heard someone tell me that you're a messy person and not good for your 2 children. I still don't believe it. When I came in, was this still a home? What did you do at home?" Lin Qiaoqiao wanted to stay in the same place, why wear it on such a person? Even an old lady is stronger than this person's character, and with a blink of an eye, she had an idea. "Qin Fang, I don't touch the sunshine and spring water at home. I was spoiled by my mother, and household chores are not very good. If you think I'm not good at taking care of the children, then let's get a divorce." After brewing some emotions, I looked up and my eyes were already in tears. After staying on the set for so long, I still have some acting skills. Even if she doesn't cry now, her eyes are still watery. "I let you be free, with your conditions. You can choose any girl from the whole village, and I can even come to your doorstep to mediate for you. Just tell me who you're interested in, can't I guarantee to complete the task, you can't leave." Qin Fang said coldly. "Why?" Lin Qiaoqiao asked back, "And that's all for now. Why not let her go?" Seeing the woman's anxious expression, Qin Fang said arrogantly, "You forget who begged to marry me back then, but now you can't even think of it, there's no way. At least we can't let her leave now, we need to figure out everything." In his previous life, he always felt like an invisible hand was on his head, as if he was controlling his fate. He wanted to figure out what was going on. As long as we investigate thoroughly, we can let her leave. Because of the mistakes in her previous life, she also suffered a lot, as long as she no longer harms her younger siblings. Just thinking that this woman can't wait to leave, she still feels a little uncomfortable in her heart. Lin Qiaoqiao thought of the glorious deeds of the original owner. Originally, the person who married Qin Fang was not her. It was her who deliberately met Qin Fang on his way home and was carried back to the village by him. This way, they had a bad rumor. Then she forced her family to get married again, and it can be said that she caused a fierce scene. I can only say, I regret being blind, okay? I've had enough of these days. Anyway, we haven't had a satisfactory relationship, and even if we divorce you, it won't delay my marriage. Then you can report to the military that I cheated and insisted on getting married. The political review won't delay you, so you can rest assured. Thinking that the two of them have never had a round house, it is estimated that there is a problem with the man's side. Otherwise, when the original owner first got married, she was also a thin and tall girl, not to mention extremely good-looking, but also a delicate young lady. Unlike my current weight of 180, the swimming circle on my belly trembles when I walk. It's not that she discriminates against fat people, but rather that such a body affects health. I don't know if stopping that pill will make me lose weight. Damn Su Baihan, this account will have to be settled with him sooner or later, and he also cheated the original owner of so much money. That's also her money. In her previous life, she belonged to the Pishio tribe. It's okay to deceive her with emotions, but not with money, even if it's a penny or even a penny. Therefore, this money must be returned. That money is the hard work of the original owner taking care of the child, and rounding it up is her money. Otherwise, dressed like this, she would be more and more anxious as she thinks about it. The pitiful expression of the woman's tears made him feel uneasy. Qin Fang didn't believe it because of that, so he asked, "Do you just want to do that?" Lin Qiaoqiao smiled, as if grasping his handle, "Isn't getting married like that. If it weren't for your face, I wouldn't have put on so much dowry to get married and then take care of your children for 2 years. It's the fault of the original owner, but can she speak up? Can Qin Fang believe that she is not the original owner but another Lin Qiaoqiao? Maybe we'll treat her as a mental illness. What should we do if we send her in and lock her up? Or tell someone about this matter, what if she is burned to death as a demon? Just thinking about it makes you panic. As long as you divorce this marriage, the next steps will be easier to handle." Qin Fang felt so flustered. Why did this woman just open her mouth and say that casually? Lin Qiaoqiao could only say again in order to leave, then I'll stay at my own house for a while. When you figure it out, come to me and we'll handle the divorce procedures. She has to be as humble as she appears, but with the guidance of professionals, she can only be soft and not too tough when dealing with such straight men. Qin Fang said the same thing, I'll say it again, you don't want to leave this house. It was obvious that the conversation had broken down, and the two of them were deadlocked again, so several more minutes passed. Don't force me. Lin Qiaoqiao's emotions erupted, and she didn't pretend to be pitiful. She wasn't scared too much. Seeing that the man's face was a bit uncomfortable, she thought she couldn't push him too hard. She took a deep breath and said, I know you're worried about the two children not being taken care of, okay. I'll take a step back. When you find the right person and bring them back, I'll make room for you. That's all, okay. But there must be a deadline, can I give you 6 months? Qin Fang nodded this time and said, okay, but you can't take care of them like you used to. You need to make this home look like a home. Do laundry, cook, take care of children, and make them feel happy. As long as you can do it, then we can talk. Lin Qiaoqiao was taken aback for a moment, is this all right? But what doesn't always feel right? Have you been tricked? Qin Fang stood up and went inside the cabinet to find the scissors, come here and I'll show you the wound on your head. Lin Qiaoqiao wanted to refuse, but there was no second person at home who could prescribe medicine for her, so she could only come to his side and sit on the bench he had previously sat on. As soon as he touched his hair, he touched a handful of oil. Qin Fang felt a bit disgusted, but considering that it was to save his younger brother and sister from the injury, he endured it. Opening my hair, I saw the wound, which was a small incision of about 1 centimeter, and now there is still blood oozing out. Take scissors and cut off the surrounding hair decisively, this can make the wound heal faster. Did you get tricked by the villain just now? Why can't you dress up as someone with a better identity? It's just a rural woman, or the villain's vicious and fat wife, with 2 children to take care of. Taking care of 2 children is not a problem. What if he doesn't let go after 6 months? I'm so foolish. When everything is clear, can he still stop me then? Let's get through this hurdle first. In fact, this family is also good. There is no need for mother-in-law to be filial, and the 2 dolls seem to have good personalities. In addition, the villain is relatively generous and gives a fixed monthly payment, which ensures a stable source of income. It seems that lying flat is not impossible, but the reputation is too bad. I don't know how long it will take to change this. Qin Fang's movements stopped and he heard voices again. Now he can be certain that these words are Lin Qiaoqiao's inner voice. He can understand all these words, but he can't even connect them. What is the antagonist? Is he the villain? Why did he become the villain? Just now, Lin Qiaoqiao spoke very sharply, completely different from before. Can we say that Lin Qiaoqiao now is not the same as before? If all of this is true, then how did it all happen? Thank you for your support. The new book is currently updated by 40 or 2 chapters per day. You can take a look at my old book, which has 3 completed chronology books. Another thing is that this book will be transferred to monthly subscription after it is listed, so everyone can rest assured to collect it. Thank you for everyone's support. If you have any votes in hand, please vote. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Transformation. Qin Fang knew so much for a moment, but nothing appeared on his face. He just paused for a moment to continue processing the wound, cutting off excess hair, and clearing the wound. I started wiping the surface with a cotton ball many times, so the wiping was very casual. Pain. Lin Qiaoqiao said wrongly, you can't act lightly. Is this person a Hercules? He hit too hard. If he gets any heavier, I'll be dead. Damn the pain, why did he change his body? Why does he still exist? Hold on, if you don't wipe it clean, you'll get infected. Qin put it in his mouth, but his movements slowed down a bit. I can't figure out what's going on, so let's wait and talk. It seems that one should not look at the surface when looking at people. Although they didn't say anything in their mouths, it's not certain what they're thinking in their hearts. And then why can we hear her voice? After disinfection, apply iodine gauze on the surface, then cut the gauze and place it on top with medical tape. This wound is considered to have been treated. Qin Fang said, don't touch water these days. Change the gauze once a day. After 7 days, when the wound scabs, you can wash your hair. Lin Qiao frowned and said, what should I do if I want to wash my hair? Hold on. Anyway, you don't wash your head often. Qin Fang put the things he took out into his bag. At this moment, Lin Qiaoqiao noticed 2 luggage bags, one big and one small, and most importantly, there was a wash basin next to them. Why did you bring back so much luggage this time? There is a memory of the original owner, knowing that even if Qin Fang comes back, he is just getting some food. These 2 large luggage bags, shouldn't they have resigned from the military and returned? The memory of the original owner's previous life is that Qin Fang changed his career 2 years later and became a moderate official in a steel mill. Later, he followed him to the sea to earn money. Perhaps he was lucky and didn't lose much money. By the beginning of 2000, his assets had already reached billions, making him a wealthy person. So Qin Fang is a very promising stock. If he really becomes his wife, then he will become a wealthy wife in the future. Wait a minute, stop it. Don't forget that this person is a troublemaker. He locked the original owner underground in the villa and imprisoned him to death. Money is certainly important, but freedom is more important. This is Lin Qiaoqiao's principle of being a good person, and she must not be corrupted by the other party's money. Qin Fang sat on a nearby stool, and after learning that the person in front of him was not Lin Qiaoqiao, his mood had calmed down, and the little hatred had disappeared. Although the 2 of them have the same appearance, they are not the same person after all, and the current Lin Qiaoqiao has also saved his younger brother and sister. This is a heartwarming memory. I have chosen to switch jobs due to the military reform. My work has been arranged and I will be working at the steel plant next Monday. Lin Qiaoqiao widened her eyes. If this person doesn't return to the army, wouldn't they want to live with her? This lonely man and widow, although they still have 2 children living together, always feel that it's not appropriate and don't give up on asking, where do you live then? Qin Fang realized that he couldn't hear her thoughts at this moment. He thought that he had heard them several times before because of their physical contact, and everything he knew in his heart was instantly clear. It was quite interesting to see Lin Qiaoqiao's angry expression. At this moment, he didn't know what was muttering in his heart. That little face seems to be rounder than before, and his mood has become more joyful, just like having a cat. It's quite interesting to tease. I won't leave, I'll stay at home. Anyway, the workplace isn't too far, so I can get a bicycle to commute back and forth. I happen to have a bicycle ticket in hand, so it shouldn't be difficult to get one through connections. Well. Lin Qiaoqiao didn't know what to say. She had originally planned to continue living according to the original owner's life when Qin was released back into the army. Isn't having 50 yuan per month better than going to work? Now I'm telling her that the villain has changed jobs and has already been arranged to work nearby. She has to go home and live every day. I just promised her that I could let her go in 6 months. Can't help but put her hand to her mouth. Will she still be able to walk? Qin Fang almost laughed at her reaction. It turned out that the expression on the woman's face was so interesting that it could be changed at any time. You don't need to live like this, just continue living the way you used to. Lin Qiaoqiao gently bit his lips, thinking that men are not good at it. It seems like living together is not a big deal, just having an extra person to eat. What is the most important thing right now? Of course it's money. So he looked at him and said, how much does the steel mill earn? Qin Fang saw a bright light in her eyes and knew that this person loves money. It's not a bad thing to love money. Money is something that can be brought to life or death. He felt that as long as it's enough, it's good. He lived to be 85 years old in his previous life, but now his body has become younger. I just went to work, and I don't know how much my salary will be. It's probably not lower than the army. Who will manage the money in the future? Lin Qiaoqiao asked him directly. Qin Fang said, just like before, I give you a fixed amount of money every month, but you must use this money for my daily life and don't be stingy anymore. If it's still like before, you don't have to worry about the money. I will buy ready-made rice, flour, and oil at home, and you can cook and wash clothes for me honestly at home. No problem, it's just doing laundry and cooking. Isn't living a person just doing work? The original owner was someone who didn't touch the sunshine and spring water. She was a reliable social animal, nicknamed a professional worker. I wish I could work non-stop 24 hours a day. Thinking about that day, it was because of my carelessness that I forgot to fasten one of the buckles, otherwise I wouldn't have fallen to death. This is a comeback. Life is the most important thing, so it's important to eat the right flowers and enjoy life. Simply treat Qin Fang as a boss to serve, as long as the boss is satisfied, then her life will be better. Opening my fingers, I calculated that the original owner had just turned 20 years old this year. It is now 1978, and there are still about 7 or 8 years left until the reform and opening up. By then, the economic recovery control will not be so strict. She can continue to work outside, and if she has a sum of money in hand, she can do business. Anyway, as long as she is given the opportunity, perhaps she can also become a wealthy person. So don't envy others for having money, as long as you seize the opportunity. Thinking of this, my mood suddenly brightened up. Qin Fang looked more pleasing than before, as long as he didn't go crazy. The two reached a preliminary consensus and did not continue the conversation, but went back to their respective houses. Lin Qiaoqiao looked at the mess on the Kong, rolled up his sleeves and began to tidy up. The bedding used by the original owner was sewn by his mother with every stitch, and the inside was made of good cotton, but the surface was dirty. So he took off all the covers and prepared to wash them tomorrow. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Su Baihan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Su Baihan. I cleaned the Kong with a basin of water, including the window sill. Due to limited time, I could only barely make a nest for myself. Opening the original owner's cabinet, she felt a headache. Speaking of which, there are quite a few clothes, none of which are piled up haphazardly without being folded. There are still a few pieces of fabric at the bottom, either red, blue, and white dots or small floral fragments, or bright red and purple. This is how the fabric of this era is. But this is a good thing. At this time, money without fabric tickets cannot buy fabric. The mixture of washed and unwashed clothes has an indescribable odor, indicating that the amount of laundry to be done tomorrow has doubled. There is also a sewing machine in the corner, which is a good thing. Also, this floor needs to be mopped again tomorrow. I noticed it during my meal earlier, and the kitchen hygiene is also terrible. If it weren't for her previous experience in domestic affairs, her psychological resilience would be stronger than that of ordinary people. I just calculated it unconsciously. 50 yuan a month for going out to eat and drink, and there is still some money left. Compared to the current salary, the remaining money is equivalent to 2,000 or 3,000 yuan, so there is no wasted work. There are no electric lights in the village yet, so we can only use kerosene lamps and go to bed earlier if we can't do anything. Qin Fang sorted out the luggage he had brought back, and still used the marching quilt used by the army for sleeping. The two children lay next to each other sleeping soundly. In this life, he must guard his younger brother and sister well, not let them suffer those hardships again, close their eyes and fall asleep peacefully. Su Baihan woke up from a hangover and felt something was wrong. He put on his shoes and poured some water from a thermos. Sitting at the table, I happened to see myself in the mirror. Why do you have so many red bumps on your face? It's still bumpy, with a particularly dark complexion. The face is still the same as before, but it's not a finely trimmed face. 8527, what's going on? After several consecutive calls, a sound came out. Every time the system sees the person in front of it, it feels like it's a 205. How could it tie the wrong person? It clearly wanted to bind its son Qin Fang, the son of Qi Yun, but ended up binding its son Su Baihan, the son of unlucky luck. At that time, it had a strong desire to die. Because this is its last host, if it fails, wait for it to be reheated, and then it won't be him again. 8527 just checked it and it's amazing. Lin Qiaoqiao has already mastered 96% of it, and his obsession has dropped to 0. Lin Qiaoqiao's infatuation has turned to 0, and I just saw it. How could this be? Su Baihan felt even more angry when he heard the news, his face turning into this. Isn't that chubby guy completely devoted to me? I'll do whatever I ask her to do, how could she be cleared to 0? 8527 thought for a moment and said in a professional tone, in situations like this, unless the person has already died or there has been an unexpected situation where she can see your true face clearly, it will only cause a 0 degree of infatuation. However, I just checked and Lin Qiaoqiao's current condition is relatively good, and there is no life-threatening condition. Su Baihan threw the cup in his hand onto the ground, his handsome face full of gloom. I don't mind her, but now my face is like this. Is it because Lin Qiaoqiao's infatuation has decreased? You should know that his face is his most perfect creation, because in the past he was dull and ordinary, so ordinary that no one noticed him even when he was thrown into a pile of people. From childhood to adulthood, he has always been plagued by bad luck. He is always the one who can't eat enough when his family shares meals. The person who is always late for school, even the one who joined the army, is the worst trained. If it were just so ordinary, he would be willing, but there was someone around him who was much taller than him in every way, that was Qin Fang. This guy is tall and has a very outstanding appearance. He has good parents, and compared to his parents, he is like a piece of cake. The two got to know each other in the army, but later found out that they came from the same place, just different villages, and lived very close together. Watching Qin Fang become more and more outstanding, whether in training or executing tasks, he is seen as a top talent in the eyes of the leaders, but he has become the bottom performer because he cannot complete the training tasks. Unfortunately, Qin Fang still regarded him as a good brother, at least that's what he thought. Speaking of one being first and the other being last, staying together for a long time has made my heart start to feel unbalanced. I remember it rained heavily during training that day, and they were divided into one group. They were carrying wood while running for training. However, the person in front of them accidentally fell, which caused them to fall. When he woke up, he had an extra system inside his body. At the beginning, he thought he was sick and there was always a voice talking to him. It took him a long time to assume the existence of the system. Later, it was learned from the system that Qin Fang was the son of luck in this world, the kind of person who would succeed no matter what he did. Children of such luck, with only a few people in each world, will eventually reach a high position and become so-called rulers. And he is the son of bad luck destined to be poor and destitute throughout his life. No matter what he does, he is not valued by others. Even if he gets married, he may get divorced, and the children he has may also be someone else's. Under the stimulation of the system, he decided to take away the qi from Qin Fang's body, making him blacken out his hatred towards the secular world, so that his qi would gradually dissipate. And he can take away this fortune and become the son of a new one. The systematic help he received was indeed successful. First, he took advantage of the disaster caused by the mudslide to make Qin Fang lose his parents. Judging from his excruciating pain, not to mention how happy he was. As a result, he quickly had another turn of luck, as he married Lin Qiaoqiao. Although this woman was not considered the daughter of luck, her fortune was very good, which is what is known as Wang Fuming. And he wholeheartedly likes Qin Fang, how can he accept it? If they live happily together, all their previous efforts will be in vain. And the system also gave him an ultimatum. If his qi does not reach a certain value, the system will unbind him and he will become the mediocre person, destined to be covered up by dust. When Qin Fang left home, he told him to help take care of the family, which provided him with convenience. He could approach Lin Qiaoqiao openly and found that this woman was extremely foolish. Anyway, it's very easy to deceive. After a while, the relationship between the two became ambiguous. As his infatuation value increased, he gained the filter blessing skill, which covered up all his own shortcomings and made others see him as a perfect side. These flaws on the face won't even surface. 8527, don't be too discouraged either, just brush her infatuation value back. Also, I just found out that Qin Fang has left the army and returned to the same place as you and entered the steel factory to work. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. System 8527. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 System 8527, why didn't you say it earlier? Su Baihan felt that the crucial matters in the system were not at all useful. 8527 was threatened and very unhappy. You didn't ask, anyway, I told you everything I should have told you. Because the infatuation index has decreased, the filter skill has been revoked. To regain it, you need to conquer Lin Qiaoqiao in Chongqing within 7 days. As long as you restore 70% of the infatuation degree, the skill will be reissued. However, before that, you will have to accept punishment. After random selection, you have received an electric shock penalty. Please accept. Before Su Baihan could react, his whole body was electrocuted. The pain made him want to shout out loud, but his mouth seemed sealed and he couldn't shout out. The pain of wanting to shout but unable to do so is something that those who have not experienced it cannot truly understand. He just bought this house and celebrated with someone last night by drinking too much. After waking up, everything changed. I suddenly thought that he had asked Lin Qiaoqiao to sell the child. If it was just a provocation at the time, she probably wouldn't tell Qin Fang. But if Qin Fang finds out everything Lin Qiaoqiao has done to the children at home, he can also break them up. In this way, as long as you bring someone to your side, you can have any degree of infatuation. After thinking through everything, the punishment of electric shock disappears. Did you tell me that you did it on purpose just now? 8527 won't tell the truth. Although this man is useless, he has already been bound to him. The 2 grasshoppers on a ship are not good for him, and he won't be good for himself. As long as he lives to the end, it's enough. If Qin Fang dies, he can leave this world and go to the next world, so this person has nothing to do with him. At that time, he will be subjected to the backlash of this world and become the most miserable person, which is also the true price he must pay to seize the subsystem of Qi luck. Su Baihan didn't continue to argue with the system, but instead thought about what to say after seeing Qin Fang. Also, did Lin Qiaoqiao change his mind because Qin was released? Thinking of Lin Qiaoqiao's current appearance, fat and strong, with a dark complexion on his face, would Qin Fang be with such a woman? Anyway, the only son of luck in this world can be him. Why is everything destined? He just wants to fight against the heavens. Even if it means paying any price. Lin Qiaoqiao sneezed 3 times in a row while sleeping, but because he was too tired, he turned around and continued to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, it was already daylight and I thought there were still 2 children waiting to eat. And I was also hungry before I hurriedly got up. When I arrived at the outer room, I saw that there was no one, but the pot was hot. I opened the curtain and saw a bowl placed on top of it. Inside was a bowl full of porridge, which was very thick. Is this the food reserved for her? Hearing the sound of children playing in the yard, I pushed open the door and went out. I saw 2 children playing and frolicking in the yard, the big one chasing the little one. Sister-in-law. Ling saw Lin Qiaoqiao wake up and thought of his brother's instructions before running over and saying, "I'll leave you some food in the pot. My brother wants you to eat, and he also wants you to take good care of us. We're not allowed to cheat." Lin Qiaoqiao couldn't help but imagine the way a man spoke in his mind, and his whole body was stimulated. "I know now, have you two eaten enough this morning? We just finished eating. The rice porridge we drank this morning was delicious." Ling also licked his mouth with his tongue. "If only we could eat porridge every morning in the future." After saying that, I remembered what I said. I stepped back quickly, afraid that my sister-in-law would hit him on the head and scold him. "Your brother and sister are just hungry beggars. Lin Qiaoqiao, this requirement is simple, isn't it, just ordering porridge? Our family can't afford rice, can't we still afford porridge?" Ling thought he would be beaten up. After all, his brother has gone to work and can only go home at night. Before leaving, he was instructed to get along well with his sister-in-law and let him know in advance if there is anything wrong. He couldn't find the north, so he couldn't figure it out. However, thinking that his brother would be able to go home every day after work, he felt that life had a new beginning, and his face began to smile again. Lin Qiaoqiao took a few steps forward and touched the head of the Ling Mountains. "Then I'll go eat first. Take care of your sister, and my sister-in-law will bake you potato pancakes for lunch today." "What is potato cake?" Ling's eyes lit up when he heard it. In his impression, potatoes were just stewed and not something that could be eaten every day. "Anyway, it's delicious. Didn't your brother ask me to take good care of you?" Lin Qiaoqiao remembered what the original owner had done before and said to the siblings, "I won't be bad to you in the future. I've decided to reform myself and take good care of you. Is the woman in front of me still my sister-in-law?" Looking at him with a smile, although he is still so fat, his face is filled with happiness, making Ling feel warm. Thinking of all the things before, maybe my brother will come home from work and my sister-in-law wants to become better. This is his inner self-explanation. As long as his sister-in-law becomes good and treats his sister well, the previous events can be written off. So he said to his sister-in-law's back, "Sister-in-law, I won't tell big brother what you did before." After hearing this, Lin Qiaoqiao almost fell down. Indeed, he couldn't underestimate the children now. He thought so much, but what does it matter? If a person changes, it cannot be believed overnight. What she needs to do now is to take care of the child for 6 months according to Mr. Qin's requirements. When the time comes, they will complete the divorce procedures, which is equivalent to resigning after working in the factory for 6 months, which is not a big deal for her. I ate the bowl of porridge when I returned home, and then went to wash up. Of course, this porridge was not enough to fill me, so I just waited for a good lunch. The reason for making potato pancakes is because there are not many dishes available now. If the original owner does not work in the production team, there will naturally be no work points, and the vegetables produced from the production team's land will be exchanged for work points. Without work points, there will be no vegetables. If you want to eat groceries, you have to go to the city to buy them. It's really troublesome to go back and forth, and it also costs a lot of money. It has to be said that these are really difficult times now. It seems that after the Chinese New Year, land has become privatized. It is the agreement of the state to unify the division of land for production teams, mainly based on the number of people, and everyone has land. Even dolls born just a few months ago can get their hands on the ground. When I returned home, I saw that the sheets I had changed and the clothes I needed to wash had all been sorted out. Today is really a big project. I have to go to the river to wash things for a whole day. Put the clothes to be washed into a basket, and after searching at home for a while, finally found a small and medium-sized ant in the corner. I don't know if this is enough or not. Anyway, take these things to the creek and wash them first. If you can catch fish in the water, then you can have an extra meal tonight. Thank you for your support. I like adding bookshelves. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Going to the creek to wash clothes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Going to the creek to wash clothes. Sister-in-law, are you going to do laundry? After using the restroom in Qinling, I came out and saw a pile of clothes in the basket. This was really surprising. You know, sister-in-law is so lazy that she wore the clothes from head to toe and threw them into the cabinet. When you go out again, feel something inside and smell it. If there is no smell, just wear it directly. Lin Qiaoqiao once again touched the head of the Qinling Mountains. This child has a tiger-like head, a bit long hair, and a little less flesh on his face. He must look good at gaining weight. Another thing is Qin Chu, who is so cute at such a young age. When she grows up, she must be a beautiful woman. Both of these children have excellent looks. It has to be said that this family has particularly good genes, and none of them are crooked. Yeah. I'm going to do the laundry. Will you take your sister with me or stay at home? Are you still going to the riverbank you went to yesterday? Qinling had lingering fears about the big riverbank. Yesterday, something almost happened, and the water there was particularly spacious. Usually, people don't wash clothes there because the water flow is too fast. Lin Qiaoqiao, I'm not going that far, I'll go to the creek to wash clothes. By the way, do you have any clothes to wash? Bring them over and I'll wash them together for you. Qinling thought of the clothes he had changed yesterday and hurriedly went back to the small house. He found the clothes and saw his brother putting 2 pieces of clothes on the stool. Without thinking about it, he put them together and bounced all the way to the yard, stuffing them into a basket. Lin Qiaoqiao saw a military uniform on the top, and said that the military uniform at this time was not particularly attractive, it was just the color of military green. But this is military uniform. Back then, she also wanted to join the army. However, if my body doesn't meet the standard, I won't become a soldier if I can't pass the physical examination. Otherwise, she wants to become a soldier for 3 years and then venture into society. Are you going with me? Go. Qinling just thought of what his brother had told him, if my sister-in-law goes out, follow her. He naturally wanted to listen to his brother, so he took his sister back to the house and changed his shoes. You can't wear cloth shoes when going to the creek, but instead put on sandals. Lin Qiaoqiao waited for them to come out before closing the door and locking it with a lock. Carrying a basket on a pole to the creek, I didn't encounter anyone along the way. I came to the creek and saw several women washing clothes. There are many large stones by the creek, which are usually moved to the shore for laundry and clothing. Ah, the sun is shining in the west. This lazy woman is coming out to wash clothes. It was Li Xiaoyan who said this. She almost went on a blind date with Qin Fang, but was intercepted by Lin Qiaoqiao halfway. She had no choice but to compromise and marry Qiao Duong, the son of the village chief. He was a silly man with little ambition and relied on driving carriages for the production team to work. But Qin Fang is different. With the country's iron rice bowl, he gives money every month, and there are various subsidies. It can be said that one person can earn enough to feed the whole family, so it's strange to see Lin Qiaoqiao pleasing. Lin Qiaoqiao sorted out their relationship and didn't take it seriously at all. He sent the 2 little ones to play on the side. Otherwise, if we argue for a while and scare the 2 children, it won't be worth the loss. After the child walked away, he came to the stone slab next to the person with a basket and put down the things. I saw a can of laundry detergent next to her, which was clearly just opened and hasn't been used much yet. Thinking in my heart that I couldn't stand being told by you for nothing, I looked up with a smile and said, coincidentally, I don't have enough pancreas. Can you lend me some laundry detergent? I was just talking about you, aren't you angry? Li Xiaoyan asked, feeling that Lin Qiaoqiao had become different. Before, they used to say a few words when we met, but can we still borrow something from her today? What's wrong with this? What you're saying is also true. I used to be quite lazy, but now I've become more diligent, and I won't be so lazy in the future. Lin Qiaoqiao stared at the laundry detergent, pondering how much to pour later. Li Xiaoyan felt that she had the upper hand and became more generous. Okay, you can use it if you want. Anyway, I can't wash a few clothes today, and I just bought them. What Lin Qiaoqiao most wanted to hear was this. He took the basin directly and then, under the gaze of Li Xiaoyan, took his laundry detergent in his hand. He poured half of it in one breath, feeling that it was almost there. I won't use you in vain next time I buy you back. You're really different today. How could you have talked to me like this before? Li Xiaoyan was a little careful about the pain, but after listening to what Lin Qiaoqiao said, it didn't hurt that much anymore. Lin Qiaoqiao smiled and said, I've said it all, I'm different from before. I'll be diligent in the future. Li Xiaoyan looked at Lin Qiaoqiao wearing a hat and thought of what those people said when they were washing clothes just now. What exactly happened yesterday? How did you get carried back? Lin Qiaoqiao first soaked the clothes to be washed in water, and with laundry detergent, this pile of things can be washed clean today. He also answered women's questions casually. Yesterday, I took my child to the riverbank and wanted to catch 2 fish. However, I met 2 bad guys who wanted to catch me and my 2 children and sell them. Fortunately, Qin Fang happened to pass by when he came home, otherwise he wouldn't have figured out what was going on. Li Xiaoyan looked contemptuously at Lin Qiaoqiao's figure. Even if you can catch fish, don't you see how fat you are now? By the way, we are from the same village. If we hadn't grown up together since childhood, I wouldn't even recognize you now. Lin Qiaoqiao looked at the slender figure of Li Xiaoyan and said, what's wrong with being overweight? Have I eaten your rice? I live in a very affluent lifestyle, and besides where I got overweight, isn't my figure also quite symmetrical now? The place that should be big is also big, and my men like me like this. Directly retorted, Li Xiaoyan felt that she had been internalized. Because her breasts are really small, every time that happens, the man always says, when would it be better to have a second development? You don't panic when you say that. How could you say that? Didn't you say it to me first? If you attack me again, my words will be even more unpleasant. Lin Qiaoqiao is not that kind of soft persimmon. He resolutely refuses to do things that hurt him, and even lost several jobs for it. Alright, I can't say anything about you. When did your mouth become so sharp? Li Xiaoyan was a bit afraid of Lin Qiaoqiao now, and her momentum naturally weakened. Lin Qiaoqiao didn't feel very comfortable winning. After all, this person was pretty decent, otherwise he wouldn't have lent her laundry detergent. At this moment, a big fish in the water jumped up and flew directly into her arms. That's right, it just flew directly into her arms, and the first reaction was to quickly hold the fish tightly. It's a big carp weighing over 3 pounds, don't ask her how she knows. Because she has sold fish and other things in the market before, she has a special sense of weight. Did this scene shock those who were watching the excitement? Fish, what a big fish! Antasmanthus shouted. This fish can still fly into people's arms, I've seen it for a long time, said Ergo's grandmother, one of the few elderly ladies in the village. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Eating Fish Tonight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Eating fish tonight. At this moment, Lin Qiaoqiao didn't care whether his clothes were dirty or not, so he held the fish and retreated several meters. Then, with both hands, he aimed the fish's head at the stone and fell with a loud bang, causing the fish to belch. Only the tail kept shaking, and soon it lost its breath. I'm worried that I won't have anything to eat tonight, so the heavens have brought me a fish. I can improve my meal tonight. This big fish is so enviable. Li Xiaoyan pointed to the fish on the ground and said, isn't this fish mentally ill? It's the first time I've seen a fish rushing from the water onto a person. This is too cult. Lin Qiaoqiao saw that the fish was dead and shouted towards the nearby area, Qinling, bring your sister back. Qianling was originally leading his sister to pick clams in the water, thinking of adding vegetables tonight. When he heard the shout, he immediately ran over and was shocked to see the fish on the ground. He didn't know what to say. "Brother, fish, what a big fish!" Qin Chu said happily. Lin Qiaoqiao took out the key from his pocket and said, "Can you take the fish back with your sister?" Qianling swallowed his saliva, remembering that the last time he ate fish was during the Chinese New Year. Looking at the key in his sister-in-law's hand, he instantly felt valued. "Yes, I will definitely send the fish back." Lin Qiaoqiao just gave him the key, looked around, went to the haystack to pull out a few pieces of grass, and then squatted on the ground using these pieces of grass to weave a grass rope and thread the fish through, making it convenient for the child to hold. Qianling silently watched from the side, and at this moment, the image of his sister-in-law became towering in his eyes. The few people who spoke just now felt extremely sour in their hearts. It's such a big fish that they can stew in a pot when they go back. By the way, why doesn't the fish have eyes? Why did he rush into Lin Qiaoqiao's arms? They are all sitting there doing laundry. After putting on the fish, Lin Qiaoqiao handed it over to the Qianling Mountains and said, "Go back and find a basin to put it in. Let's eat the fish tonight. Good sister-in-law." Qianling's happy face burst into laughter. "Lin Qiaoqiao, hurry up and go back, my sister doesn't need to take it back. I'll just watch." Qianling saw several adults around him, and he just went back for a short while. There shouldn't be anything wrong. Thinking of this, he left with peace of mind. At this moment, Qin Chuchu's emotions were immersed in a state of wanting to eat fish at night. Squatting beside his sister-in-law, "Is the fish delicious?" "Delicious, children who eat fish will become smarter. Tonight, stewing with big sauce will definitely be delicious." Lin Qiaoqiao washed his hands with water and washed his face before raising his hand to touch the little girl's head. In fact, children have a very simple personality. As long as you treat them well, you will gain kindness. It's not like adults have so many ulterior motives. At this moment, Li Xiaoyan regained her strength and patted Lin Qiaoqiao's shoulder. "I really didn't see that you're so chubby, you're so attractive to fish. No wonder you're so amazing when you say you're going fishing by the river." Lin Qiaoqiao continued to sit on the stone washing clothes, and his mood was much better now than before. "I just told you, I'm going to the riverbank to catch fish, but you still don't believe me. Li Xiaoyan, is there any secret here? Why did the fish fly towards you?" Lin Qiaoqiao raised his hand to trim his hair and said, "There's no secret. When I'm lucky, I can't stop anything. I won't chat with you anymore. I have a lot of things to wash today, what a pile." Li Xiaoyan looked at the two large baskets of clothes and didn't give up on asking, "By the way, won't you take out all the clothes in the wardrobe and wash them?" "Almost so. The weather is nice today. After washing and drying, I can wear it in 2 days." Lin Qiao thought to herself, "I can't do it without washing. Why not wash and wear?" Qin Fang's wife, "How many days will Qin Fang stay after returning this time?" Grandma Ergo asked. Lin Qiaoqiao focused on his laundry clothes without even lifting his head, but he just replied, "He's not leaving anymore. He chose to switch jobs and return to his hometown to work. He has been assigned to the steel plant and went to work today." Granny Ergu exclaimed, "The steel factory is a good job, and Qin Fang is capable. You can live well with him and have a baby early. You haven't had a baby for 2 years. If Qin Fang's mother is still alive, it's not necessary to be anxious." Lin Qiaoqiao knew that the old lady had 2 sons in her family, and her whole heart was focused on wanting a grandson. The eldest daughter, in-law, had already given birth to 3 granddaughters, the second daughter-in-law had 4 granddaughters, and 1 grandson. Due to having many children, the family's life was very difficult. It can be said that she is the poorest family in the village, because there are only 2 strong laborers in her family, and she is a typical old lady who values sons over daughters. We're not in a hurry to have a child, and besides, I'm still young. I'm only 20 years old this year. You just rely on your mother-in-law's absence, otherwise let's see if she can urge you, said Grandma Ergo with a pout, feeling quite jealous in her heart. Qin Fang can earn money, and there is no mother-in-law to take care of at home. This young uncle and sister-in-law are so small that they point to Lin Qiaoqiao to take care of them. To put it bluntly, Lin Qiaoqiao's current life is the kind of good life that these women dream of. So before, I saw that she was particularly lazy, and those days were very frustrating. Instead, they saw her more happily. Sooner or later, they will be disliked by Qin Fang, and they have already prepared to watch the excitement. As a result, Qin Fang returned from his job and still had such a decent job. Working in a steel mill provides a secure job, much better than farming. Lin Qiaoqiao's laundry move was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, a pile of clothes came out. Sister-in-law. Wow! The cries of Qin Ling came from behind. As soon as Lin Qiaoqiao heard the child cry, he immediately turned around. Good guy, the child's face was blue and swollen, indicating that he had been fighting with someone. What's going on here? On my way home, I met Dog Eggs and the others. They robbed me of the fish in my hand, but I couldn't snatch them. Qin Ling complained in tears. The fish in my hand was stolen and even beaten. The first thing that came to my mind was to tell my sister-in-law about this. I don't know why, but he believes his sister-in-law will avenge him. Lin Qiaoqiao got angry and said, "Do you know where they are?" Qin Ling nodded and said, "I know their base. They have a lot of people and a few older children. They usually hang out together. Take me." Lin Qiaoqiao only needs to think that the fish he gets doesn't get into his mouth, regardless of whether it's adults or children who are grabbing the fish. Only with hard fists can he eat enough these days. So should we call someone? Qin Ling looked at the laundry people. They went a little more, maybe they could get the fish back. Without my sister-in-law, I can't handle so many people alone. No need. Lin Qiaoqiao directly put the washed clothes into the basket and said to Li Xiaoyan, "I'll go back. Can you wait for me here for a while? I'll be back soon." Then he picked up Qin Chu, who was clearly a bit scared and his face turned pale. "Okay, you go. I'll show you the clothes." Li Xiaoyan replied. In fact, she really wants to go see the fun, you know those half-aged kids are not easy to mess with. The older ones are already 15 or 16 years old, and the younger ones are also in their 20s. They usually gather together and don't know what they've done all day. Anyway, it's quite a headache. Thank you for your support. I like adding bookshelves. End of this chapter.